Good evening, everybody. We apologize for the delay. There were technical difficulties. My name is Kelly Tejas, and I will be your host for today. I am the Parent University site coordinator for the Bronzeville Parent University that serves Network 9. And I'm going to say this in English and Spanish. If there's anybody among us that needs a translation, please click the interpretation button and then click Spanish, and that will take you to the presentation in Spanish. Si hay alguien entre nosotros que le gustaría escuchar esta presentación en español, haga clic en el botón en la parte inferior de la pantalla que dice interpretación o interpretation y luego haga clic en español o Spanish. Si estás en el teléfono, por favor, hagan clic en el parte de tu teléfono que tiene 3 puntitos y es el mismo proceso, nomás vas a haga clic en el botón que dice interpretation o interpretación y luego vas a haga clic en español o Spanish. So again, I am going to quickly present my screen and we are going to, I'm going to do a quick presentation. So give me 1 second. So welcome to the face-to-face virtual classroom. Our sessions are designed with you in mind to support your children's learning trends and to offer a variety of programming that will help build your knowledge and growth around various topics. We offer weekly classes, which are hosted live, recorded, and then uploaded to our CPS YouTube channel for future reference. We hope you enjoyed today's session entitled Healthy Eating at School, which will focus on the basics of school food, general tips for healthy eating at school and beyond, and information on a couple of nutrition misconceptions. So as our district continues to navigate through challenging times, we want our families and students to know we are here to support them. And one way to do that, the Department of Family and Community Engagement and Education, or Phase 2, has launched a series of virtual workshops to help families build on their strengths. Offerings are designed by experts and include various topics in the following areas: academics, mental health, arts and self-care, socio-emotional learning, or SEL, technology assistance, and direct access to experts from the field or ask the expert. If you would like to register to be on our mailing list, you can do so at bit.ly/faceparent, and that link will also be dropped in the chat. So the session will be recorded and the recording has already started. We want to share this knowledge with parents who are unable to attend today. And if you do not consent to be part of the recording, you may end the video call now and wait until the session is available on our YouTube channel at bit.ly/faceyoutube, and that link will also be dropped in the chat. If you stay, we assume that you consent to the recording, and we, of course, will inform you when we stop the recording as well. So please don't miss out on our future sessions. This week, we have the 13th, we have Introduction to the CPS Virtual Library with Dorsey Chambers, and that session, as you can see, is in Spanish. We have another session on the 13th at 3 o'clock. It's Know Your Rights, and that session is bilingual. We have at 4 o'clock on the 13th, we have ISAC post-secondary. It is the third of 5 sessions, and that session is in Spanish. We have on the 13th at 4:30, we call it the dorm room show. Our chief of our department is putting on these series of workshops that or panels that are featured on our Facebook channel. So please check that out. And on the 14th at 3 o'clock, we have an introduction to the CPS virtual library that was previously held in Spanish. This session is now in English, if that's something you would like. And then the English counterpart to the one that I mentioned before, the ISAC post-secondary, 3 of 5 sessions, and that is going to be held in English, and that's the 14th at 4 o'clock. So for more information, please email title1@cps.edu or reach out to Norma Celedon at nceledon@cps.edu or 773-553-9623. And again, please don't forget to register for future sessions at bit.ly/faceparent. And of course, your opinion and your feedback are invaluable. So please tell us how you like today's session at tinyurl.com/face2 face survey. And that link will also be dropped in the chat. So our presenters today are Ariana Oatman. And a little bit about Ariana. Ariana is a registered dietitian in the Office of Student Health and Wellness at Chicago Public Schools. She works cross-functionally for the Nutrition Support Services team. In her role, she manages the fresh fruit and vegetable program, supports menu development, school food promotion, and nutrition education for staff and students. Ariana has a passion for exposing students to the fascinating qualities of food from pre-K to adulthood. She has been with the district since May 2020. Prior to her role at CPS, Ariana was a nutrition consultant for the Chicago Head Start programs. And then our other guest is Justine Britton. Justine is the senior dietitian in the Office of Student Health and Wellness at Chicago Public Schools. She oversees policy compliance and programming related to diabetes, asthma, food allergies, seizures, and pregnant and parenting youth. Justine also assists in the implementation of CPS food access programs and menu planning. Prior to working at CPS, Justine worked as a clinical dietitian and earned her master's in public health from the University of Illinois at Chicago. And again, for future programming, please visit our website at cpsparentu.org. What am I saying? And again, thanks for attending today's session. And now please welcome our presenters, Ariana Oatman and Justine Britton. So I'll hand it over to you guys.
Thank you. I'm going to start sharing my screen so we can get our presentation started.
All right, I think we're ready to go. Thank you all so much for being here this evening. We have already been introduced. So my name is Justine. Ariana is the other presenter tonight. We're both dietitians in the Office of Student Health and Wellness, and we are really excited to chat with you a little bit tonight about healthy eating at school. So the mission of the Office of Student Health and Wellness is to remove health-related barriers to learning and to advance health equity in Chicago. Next slide. We have 6 teams that do this. We have a health promotion team. That's where Ariana and I sit. We talk about recess, PE, health education, gardens, nutrition ed. We also, our office looks at health information, our COVID response, student health services, so things like vision and hearing screenings, dental exams. Our Children and Family Benefits unit runs our Healthy CPS hotline and helps families connect to Medicaid and SNAP. And then we also have nursing in our department. So everything OSHW does falls under the umbrella of supporting the whole child. And it fits into the WISC framework. So that's this circular picture that you'll see on the right-hand side of the screen. WISC stands for whole school, whole community, whole child. CPS is committed to ensuring that every student in every school is healthy, safe, supported, challenged, and engaged by using a holistic approach that connects physical, mental, and social and emotional health with academic success. In order to support the whole child, we have to work together as a district between departments and by connecting with parents and community organizations. So this presentation focuses on nutrition, environment, and services, and we've circled it in blue there on that circle. The presentation tonight will focus on healthy eating at school. At the end of the presentation, you'll understand the basics of school food at CPS and be familiar with some of the nutrition standards for meal, snacks, and drinks. And then we will also try to debunk a few common nutrition myths for you.
So let's do a fun activity. Really quick, we're going to use our chat and let us know, what was your favorite lunch to eat as a child, whether at school or at home? And Justine, do you have access to the chat to see any answers?
I think so. Let's see. Oh, wait. I see PB&J from
Nice.
Hannah every day.
A few more seconds.
I can tell you one of my favorites was tuna, and I did not make a lot of friends because of that.
I'm sure part of it had to do with the smell.
Oh yeah.
All right. Any more fun answers in the chat? Okay, we'll keep it moving. So let's take a look at school food over the years. In 2010, we got an update to some of our child nutrition program requirements through the 2010 Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act. It increased the amount of fruits and veggies and whole grains that we might see in our school meals, which is great for nutrition of our students. Chicago Public Schools also participates in the community eligibility provision, since 2013. We'll get more to that in the next slide. In a typical school year, we serve over 75 million meals to our students, which is fantastic, through different programs such as the school breakfast, school lunch program, maybe even the supper program. And since the pandemic has started, we've served over 38 million meals to students and individuals under the age of 18. Something we're really proud of. So, did you know, and we really want to emphasize this, that CPS school meals are free to all students? This is an accurate statement. It's very true. We would not lie. All students can eat school meals for free. And we took it a step further during the pandemic. In response to the public health emergency, we knew that many families, even outside of the Chicago public school family, might have experienced challenges. So our meal kits, our grab and go meal kits, were available and still are available to children under the age of 18, regardless of their enrollment in CPS. So non-students could get meals from CPS schools. So let's jump into some basics of school food. Justine, I'll hand it back to you.
Great. Next slide. Great. So CPS operates under the National School Lunch and National School Breakfast Program. These are federally regulated programs that provide low cost or free school lunches to qualifying students. And like Ariana said, all of our meals are free to all students. So research shows and history shows that the National School Lunch Program and the National School Breakfast Program have helped reduce food insecurity and have had an impact on student health and well-being. Since we operate under these programs, we have to adhere to certain nutrition standards that have been developed by the United States Department of Agriculture, or the USDA. Many of the nutrition guidelines were updated just about 10 years ago in 2010 during the Obama administration under the Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act. Next slide. So some of these USDA standards, they're all wrapped into our local school wellness policy, and I'll talk a little bit more about that policy in a few slides. But this one really focuses on the nutrition in our school meals. So under the USDA standards, we talk about increasing the availability of certain things. So whole grains, fresh fruit and vegetables, we try to increase those as much as we can. Our foods are all at least half, all of our foods are whole grain rich, so at least 51% are whole grains. And then fresh fruit is offered with lunch and every day, and then at least 3 breakfasts a week, so you're going to see fresh fruit on there too. Vegetables are coming from a variety of different colors throughout the week and throughout the month. Also under these USDA standards, there are specific calorie limits. So are there minimums and maximums for calories? And these adjust based on the grade that you're in. So a kindergartner isn't going to be getting the exact calories that a senior in high school would be getting. As far as the things that we see reducing in our school meals are things like sodium or salt, unhealthy fats. So these are things like trans fats and saturated fats. And then also the fat that you see in flavored milk. So all of our meals offer fat-free or 1% milk. And to meet some of those calorie limits, milk processors have developed flavored milk with reduced added sugars for school meals. So seeing that CPS is such a large district, we purchase a lot of food. We like to say that we're like the biggest restaurant in the city because we feed a lot of people every day. Since we're purchasing so much food, we want to make sure that we're doing it responsibly. So over the last several years, we've tried to focus on purchasing more food from local farmers. So I believe our range is within 350 miles of Chicago. So all of our milk comes from Illinois cows. You'll also see a local vegetable, a local fresh vegetable served on the menu at least twice a month. And then the no antibiotic chicken is also a local product that you'll see on our menus as well. Keeping in line with thinking green and trying to be sustainable, we've also included meatless Mondays on our menus for the last several years. And there's always a vegetarian option available throughout the week. It's just that Monday that we really try to focus on offering a plant-based item for students. Okay, and then a little bit more about the meal program and what you would see on the lunch line. So we talk about a reimbursable meal, and we operate under what's called offer versus serve. So this is another USDA program, and it's a part of the National School Lunch Program and Breakfast Program that allows students to decline some of the food offered. So the goal of offer versus serve is to really reduce food waste in school meals by letting students choose which foods they actually want to eat. It seems pretty simple, right? So what that means for us, though, is that we have to offer 5 different components of a meal for students at lunch. So that's a meat or a meat alternative, a grain, a fruit, a vegetable, and then that fluid milk. And then students have to choose at least 3 of those components. One of those has to be a fruit or a vegetable. So they could have a protein, a fruit, and a vegetable. They could have a grain, a vegetable, a fruit, kind of whatever mix that they want to choose from. Or of course, they could pick all 5, depending on how hungry they are. And then same, of course, applies with breakfast, essentially. Okay, so then I mentioned this a little bit earlier, was our local school wellness program. So under the USDA programs that we have to have a local school wellness policy. So this is for all of our schools, and it goes a little bit deeper than just the school meals, the nutrition in our school meals. It focuses on the whole food environment and how we can make our schools safe and healthy for students to learn in holistically. So under the local school wellness program, there are limits around the types of rewards that can be offered to students. Rewards are things like how you recognize good behavior or performance. And we want to try to steer schools away from using food-based rewards. So instead of a pizza party or breakfast with the principal, maybe rewarding the student with additional recess or additional opportunities for physical activity. Also under this policy, celebrations are another thing that we say, try to celebrate with fun instead of food. Schools are permitted to have 2 school-wide celebrations per year. This really, it promotes a healthier school environment, and also it helps families with food allergies plan ahead too. Fundraisers kind of falls under the same umbrella. We want to try to steer away from food fundraisers again. So food fundraisers are not permitted during the school day if the items are intended to be, food fundraisers are permitted during the school day if the items are intended to be consumed outside of school hours. So something like cookie dough, taffy, apples, those are permitted, but we want to again try to keep those food-based fundraisers outside of the school day instead of within the school. And then another highlight for food allergies, all of these reward celebrations and fundraisers, limiting the food-based reward celebrations fundraisers does really help keep our students with food allergies safe. There are also special menus available for our students with food allergies. So if you or any families who have students with food allergies and they want a menu that's safe for their student to eat during the school day, please reach out to us. Our email will be at the end of the presentation. And we have dietitians who will help develop a menu that's safe for your student.
Thanks, Justine. Now to healthy meals and snacks. And these next few slides can be applied to both the school space, and the at-home space, or anywhere where your child might eat. So one of the things we like to focus on in school meals is variety. Variety in texture, variety in color, variety in types of food, and variety in flavors. We think about that when we develop our school menus, and it's something to consider when you develop your plates at home. So let's jump into one of those nutrition misconceptions. So following a vegan diet, meaning avoiding all animal product food, is the healthiest diet for people to follow. Do you think that's true? Have you heard that that's true? Well, you don't need to follow a vegan diet to be healthy. There are absolutely other ways to provide nutrition for your body. One of the things that you can focus on instead is gradually and consistently increasing your intake of fruits, of vegetables, of whole grains, and being open to different sources of protein, whether that includes animal protein or non-animal protein like beans, nuts, and seeds. All options to lead a healthy lifestyle. Another hallmark of nutrition and nourishing our bodies is creating this sense of balance. And, you know, the information that we get from our school meals is also applicable here. So, balance, choosing from at least three of the food groups when you eat is great for at home and school. So, having fruits, grains, and a protein could be a good option for a meal, uh, or having grains, vegetables, and protein, or maybe having fruits, vegetables, and grains. All of these can be good options for a meal. And you can also consider things like eating to when you're full instead, or I'm sorry, eating before or stopping eating before you're full instead of eating to the point of fullness. That's a way of maintaining balance in how you eat. And of course, incorporating various colors on your plate. It makes it more attractive. Things to consider when you're choosing what to eat. We like to promote the basics, right? Water is the best beverage. It's the best form of hydration for our body. Our bodies are made up of water. Um, Vegetables are a great source of nutrition, vitamins, and minerals. Fruit, protein of any form, and protein is in most foods, but mostly our meat and eggs and like our beans and nuts and seeds, whole grains, and dairy. Or dairy alternatives, of course, or things that provide a good amount or are a good source of calcium. And some of those treats that we love that are very flavorful, we can enjoy. We just don't have to enjoy them all the time. And that's just, I guess, a practice of discipline. So we can, some of the time, enjoy things like juice, candy, cookies, French fries, and pizza. Again, just not all the time. Here's some tips for snacks. I won't go through all of them for the sake of time, but one some tips for creating some great snacks at home or to prepare for your child at school is by saving time by slicing veggies ahead of time. I think one of the best times to slice veggies is as soon as you get home from the store and as you're putting your groceries up. You have it done right then and it's prepared when you need it. Um, Grabbing a glass of milk or yogurt can be quite convenient, and pairing it with something like a fruit or a veggie or let's say a whole grain cracker can be a great option too. It's super quick. Um, and then you can mix it up, especially if you're being watchful of your students, especially the younger ones, by having things like homemade trail mix, like dried fruit, unsalted nuts, and popcorn that can be eaten. And again, in smaller amounts, because the idea of a snack is something to just satisfy a bit of hunger and not to provide us the same type of nourishment as a meal would. We still want to eat when it's time for mealtime. Um, Keep an eye on size. Like I said, snacks shouldn't replace a meal. Consider convenience. A single serving container of low fat yogurt or individually wrapped string cheese can be just enough for an after school snack. Our students are often hungry when they're done with the day of learning. And I'll go to our next one. Oh, let me not forget this one. Fruits are very quick and easy. There's so many options with fruit. It's fresh, frozen, dried, canned, especially like or cupped versions that are with water or light syrup are great options. Things like applesauce, frozen grapes, or frozen blueberries can be easy. I would say be watchful of frozen fruits if you have a small one, like a kindergartner or a pre-kindergartner, because we don't want them to choke. And then I would say swap out the sugar. You can keep healthier foods handy so that students or our children can avoid cookies or pastries. And that's just the at-home environment or the school environment. If they don't see it and we don't provide a space for it at home, they'll be likely to choose it, or you'll be less likely to have it to give it to them. All right, let's move on. And these tips are available on the Team Nutrition website. They have lots of information and nutrition infographics available for the assistance of both schools and parents. So let's jump into healthy beverages. This is one of my favorites. Healthy beverages is one of my favorite things to talk about because when we talk about nutrition, people often gloss over how important the things that we drink are to our overall nutrition. So, here's some tips. Drinks like juice and sports drinks can have a lot of sugar and calories too. And these things are okay to drink some of the time. Um, I would even add smoothies to that list. Smoothies get hyped up a lot for being like the symbol of nutrition. But if we add a lot of sugar to it, that can give us just an unnecessary amount of sugar in our diet. Um, let's aim to get our nutrition through food and get our hydration through water. Water is the absolute best and healthiest beverage for our hydration. And you can choose milk or 100% juice sometimes as flavorful alternatives. In this picture, I want to point out in this 100% juice label, a line that says includes 0 added sugars. That's a new line on the nutrition facts label, and that'll be important when we get to our next slide. So that one says 0%, which is great. Includes 0 grams of added sugars. That's what we like to see. So sugar sweetened beverages are very common in the American diet, and we get a lot of unnecessary calories through sugar sweetened beverages. So what is added sugar? What is that term? Added sugars are sugars and syrups that are added to foods or beverages when they are processed or prepared. Naturally occurring sugars, like the ones in fruit and milk, are not added sugars. When we think of milk, like lactose, that's a natural sugar in milk. Added sugars have many names, and I mean like over 50 names. So they're not always easy to spot, but we hope this information will help you do your own research so you know how to spot them on a nutrition label. And added sugars are a source of extra calories, among other things, like unnecessary. But here are some ways that you can manage your added sugar one meal at a time. So you can use the new nutrition labels added sugar line, like we saw on that nutrition label in the previous slide. Again, and I want to overemphasize this, you can always opt for water. It's the best, the absolute best. You can keep a filled container nearby you all the time for whenever you get thirsty. Added sugar is also what we add to our tea, in our coffee, in our smoothies, and food that we may cook at home. So we have to be careful of how we add sugars to our own drinks. And you can just one day at a time reduce your consumption of sugar. Maybe you like to enjoy dessert. And just like we tell our students, try a piece of fruit for dessert sometimes. You know, one of my favorite fruits is mango. And mango is sweet enough to really, really get me excited and satisfied with just a lovely piece of fruit. Um, and let's say, do you typically have a large beverage? Like, do you go to Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks or any coffee shop and get a large beverage? Maybe next time consider having a small or medium beverage instead, because that can reduce the amount of sugar that you take in. Um, and do you hear words like honey and maple syrup and agave? And you hear, oh, that's natural sugar, right? It's still sugar. And if you add it to tea, it's still added sugar in your tea. Your body processes it the same way. So here's another nutrition misconception or a myth, right? Let's talk about it. Cow's milk, soy milk, almond milk, and oat milk, they're all basically the same thing. Well, I won't go through all of it, but actually these beverages can be they're unique. They are different from each other, and one might work for you while another one doesn't. And here's some reasons why. You could be allergic to cow's milk, or you could be allergic to nuts, right? Or like almond milk, and that might not work for you. You might just be going vegetarian, and you might opt for something different. Um, Different ones might have different levels of protein or sugar that you may need in your diet, right? And you might just have a taste preference that makes you lean toward oat milk instead of, let's say, soy milk. So that might be why you choose something different. It's really up to you and what your body is in need of. So, Justine, I'm going to pass it over to you to wrap us up.
And thanks. So, a quick review of some of what we just chatted about today. One of the best things we can do is to be role models for children by choosing, eating, and keeping nutritious foods at home. So, if they see us eating healthy snacks and meals and choosing water as much as we can, they're more likely to do it too. Prioritize water, fruits, and vegetables all the time, as much as you can. Choose whole grains and allow your taste buds to adjust to their flavor and texture. This goes for kind of changing anything in your diet, really. Our bodies get really accustomed to certain flavors, especially salty and sweet flavors. And it can take time for us to readjust to different flavors and textures of new foods. So be open to new foods and variety, especially when we talk about protein, beans, nuts. Don't be afraid to get out of your comfort zone. As Ariana said, choose water more than any other beverage, especially if you're looking to try to cut down on some of the added sugar in your diet. That is a great place to start. And then practice identifying added sugar using the nutrition label. So, it's great to try to set goals, trying to make those numbers come down and down if you can when it comes to that added sugar on the label. But it's always good to just start by getting familiar, taking a look at that nutrition label and seeing what the added sugars are in your diet, because that's going to be really different from person to person and based on what your health goals are. So some of the things that you're going to see those added sugars in are drinks, like we said, sauces, breads, processed food items, which is like, even thinking about like breakfast cereals that you might see, and then breakfast foods, there it is. So, and then of course, our last point is to eat school food. If you have any questions about the meal program, we'll be happy to answer some of them right now, but you're also welcome to email us at food@cps.edu, and we will get back to you as soon as we can with your answers.
Thank you, Justine and Ariana. It was full of knowledge, and I will say that I am guilty of a lot of the things that you said, and I would say that I hope that I'm not alone, but I know that I have to do a lot of work, and this has definitely put a little fire under my butt to, be a little bit more conscious of what I'm eating. I sometimes have said that my taste palette is sometimes equated to, or my family makes fun of me saying that my taste palette is equivalent to that of a child. So I'm working on it. But um are there any questions amongst the parents that you would like to ask? I did see one that was here. It says, um, why is it that um around lunchtime they don't give water for people who ask for it? They give sometimes chocolate milk, or they have to ask for it if they want it at lunchtime.
So I can start with that, Ariana. Water should always be offered at meal times. There should always be water available. So if that's not something you're seeing in your student's school, please reach out to us and we can do some investigation around that.
Okay. If there are any other questions, we have about 4 minutes before we need to wrap up. So I'll give you guys, and if you want to ask a question, you can please ask it in the Q&A section. Let's see. We have one more. Are there ways that students can give options or ideas for what can be included in school meals?
Absolutely. One of the ways, and we've gotten students' voices before through food at cps.edu. So that's one of the ways that they can contact us. Another way is through a survey, and our survey is being updated right now, so it's more relevant to the options that we have right now. So we're gonna have that uploaded to the site soon, so students can give us feedback on school meals and ideas for school meals. Yeah, through our website. We can't always accommodate every request because we have like parameters and guidelines to follow, but we definitely like to consider and see how we can make those ideas possible.
Okay. And that survey, is that where, I guess once it's updated, where can they find that survey?
On the NSS webpage, and I think this is it. This is the cps.edu/menu. That's the page where you would find it.
Okay. And then we have another question. Why don't you change the menu? So, or like, why don't you constantly change the menu, I guess is what they're asking. So like, they're asking about pizza, hamburgers, and then offer other choices as well, I guess is the question. Or like, I guess my guess is it, why is it always consistently the same things? Do we ever change the menu type of thing?
Yes, so we appreciate that question and we absolutely understand that feedback. We scrutinize the menus as well. Um, we have we have dealt with a unique set of challenges in this COVID environment with just challenges on the food access or the food chain with availability of foods. But still, we're trying to incorporate different types of fruits and vegetables that are available, and preparing our menu for next year so that we can see an improved amount of variety. And what we've worked on is just like seeing even more, I guess, protein options, more style of food like bowls, wraps. Um, um, and I'm blanking now, but we're constantly trying to improve the menu. So, that feedback is valid and it's appreciated. So we do hear you and we're working on it.
Okay, so there are no more questions, and we do have to wrap up a little bit early. So again, if you would like to ask more questions, please feel free to contact the email that they provided, and there's always that phone number in the website as well. And so at this time, I'm going to wrap everything up. So we hope you enjoyed today's session titled Healthy Eating at School. Our classes are recorded and can be found on our YouTube channel, tinyurl.com/face2YouTube. And that link will also be dropped in the chat. Please visit our website at cpsparentu.org for more information on our virtual programming. And don't forget to follow us on social media at CPS Parent to You, and you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And of course, don't forget to sign up to receive news of our upcoming workshops at tinyurl.com/face2parent. And so we are so thankful to Justine and Ariana for flooding us with a plethora of knowledge. So we are really grateful to you. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for being here.